My father was a bivocational minister. He worked as a custodian at the local high school, and then he preached part-time in small churches. And by small churches, I mean small. It was the kind of church that if there were 35 there, you knew it was Easter. That was a big crowd. During my junior year in high school, I just could not get away from the sense that God was calling me to being a minister.
He followed that calling and started a path that would lead to 25 years here in Birmingham.
As I was finishing seminary, a church in Missouri, Branson, Missouri, which was near my home, called me to be their pastor. They knew I was finishing seminary, and that was a fun place to pastor. It was, as Branson was starting to boom, it was exciting. People were moving in there. I was there for 3 years, then went to Windsor, Missouri, from Windsor, Missouri to Stillwater, Oklahoma, then pastored First Baptist Church, Tyler, Texas. And while I was at First Baptist Church, Tyler, Texas, I had a visit from a search committee here at Dawson Memorial, and they called me here in 1991.
But he says the decision to come to Birmingham was a reluctant one.
To be very honest, I loved being in Tyler, Texas. My children loved the community. I anticipated that Tyler would be the last church I would pastor. And so I reluctantly came here, not because of anything happened here. It was just I was comfortable where I was, but also I came with a deep sense this was where God was leading me.
When he followed that path, he had no idea what direction it would take him. As we continue his story, Dr. Fenton talks about his early years at Dawson. For CBS 42, I'm Lillian Lalo. While there are always some difficulties in any transition, Dr. Gary Fenton said he had no idea what kind of positive direction the Dawson Memorial Baptist Church was headed.
The church from 1948 for the next 36 years under the leadership of Dr. Edgar Arundel continued to grow. He retired in 1984. There was a lengthy interim, and then there was a bump in the road in the life of the church.
People left the church. A new congregation started.
As a result, it was a little awkward when we came. There wasn't bitterness or anger in the church, but I think there was a little bit of fear that Dawson's history, that Dawson's future would never equal its past.
The early mission, heal the church. It was a task the congregation was more than willing to take on.
I came here fearing that there might be bitterness still within the congregation. But when I came, I sensed there is a loving spirit. The people not only want to be united again, they want to grow and reach out into the community.
In the first few years, he began to see that outreach. Every Sunday morning, the faces he saw reflected his early mission.
I would look out in a congregation on Sunday morning. I would see different age groups. I would see people who lived in different neighborhoods. I saw people who had different kinds and levels of income. And on Sunday morning, we were one people.
As the church healed, Dr. Fenton built the foundation for his 25 years at Dawson. But he says it's thanks to those who came before him.
It was exciting to see not only the healing and the growth take place, and I'm very grateful for the people prior to my coming who invested deeply in the life of this church for the spiritual foundation that it had.
As we continue in our next segment, we'll find out some of Dr. Fenton's most memorable moments of the past 25 years. In Birmingham, Lillian Lalo, CBS 42. Dr. Gary Fenton is retiring after 25 years of service at Dawson Memorial Baptist Church. So that means he's been through a lot of sermons, weddings, baptisms, and there's bound to be a lot of good stories.
The Sunday following 9/11, September 16th, 2001. And several things happened that weekend that I'll never forget. First of all, on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, we hosted a community prayer meeting. We anticipated that maybe there would be 50 to 100 people here. This sanctuary was almost filled on a Friday at 4 o'clock. Then on September 16th, that Sunday morning, the sanctuary was filled.
September 11th was a time when everyone was seeking hope and reassurance. Memorable as the church and the nation came together. But not every memory from the last 25 years was as somber. There were those lighter moments here and there, and one of those, a wedding that happened to take place during an Alabama football game.
After I pronounced the couple, husband and wife, as I turned them towards the congregation, there was a person in the balcony, and there was no one seated in the balcony, that held up a big sign that said, "Halftime, Alabama 7, LSU 0.
Through all the memories of building construction, wedding guests quietly cheering on their teams, and hundreds of Sunday morning sermons, 2 baptisms stand out.
I baptized 2 of my grandchildren in this church, and that was very significant for me.
As Dr. Fenton finishes his tenure, we'll finish this series with a look at the direction that he sees for the church as it moves forward. I'm Lillian Lalo with CBS 42. Dr. Gary Fenton has served here at Dawson Memorial Baptist Church for the past 25 years. At the end of this month, he's retiring, and he says he's looking forward to the church's future.
I'm confident that the best is yet to be for the Dawson family of faith. I look on my 25 years and wow, I have been so blessed. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything in the world.
He says he senses that there are even better days ahead.
I really sense there's a spiritual renewal taking place in the life of our church. I shared with someone, I wish I were 20 years younger, but I do not say that regretfully. I was able to experience the life of this church in such a wonderful way.
A major part of that renewal is outreach, specifically in a mission program called Go, Love, Tell.
And we made a commitment to go to 5 different places in the world to invest at least $1 million in each one of those places over a 5-year period, and at the same time not reduce any other of our mission projects.
The project isn't just about raising money. It's about raising volunteers who can take Dawson's message outside of Homewood. The church also seeks to call another senior pastor to fill Dr. Fenton's shoes.
Whomever they choose and whomever God has chosen for this church, I would say to him, you're very fortunate to come into a loving congregation. Dawson is a church that I think is rare in that it's a large church, but there is still a deep sense of community. I also think that he is coming to a church where the congregation will love him, accept him, and follow his leadership.
As Dr. Fenton leaves his leadership position, he looks forward to spending a lot of time with his family. He also plans to stay in Birmingham and says he sees a bright future for the Dawson family of faith. In Birmingham, Lillian Lalo, CBS 42.